Welcome. Today I'm going to be talking to you about land or lot development allowances. And of course, the big thing here is when we buy land, what are the costs? People call them hidden costs. I actually think they're very transparent costs. But what are the other costs of building a home that you really need to consider? Well, I can't speak for every builder out there, much as though I sometimes am asked to. But I am going to talk about Royal Texan. So the first thing is, we have a handy sheet here. On this handy sheet, it talks about the lot development allowances that you want to consider when you're building a house. And you can come into the model here in Republic Grand Ranch, meet with either Sean or Michael or anyone actually from Royal Texan who's here, and they can give you this. But today, we're going to walk through these item by item by item in 100 degrees outside, and I'm going to talk you through what each one of these things are. Follow me. Well, in order to start with land clearing, you have to start with land. What is there to clear? Well, obviously there's the brush, and a lot of people go and underbrush, and of course that's great to see what you have, but that'll grow right back. So you can see here we've got some underbrush behind, but we still have all these big trees. You can also possibly see that this land slopes down gently from my left side to my right side. And that has an impact in the amount of select fill or dirt, as people call it here, that you'll need to give a level playing field to be able to start building a house with. So the first order is we need to clear the land. We need to pull the trees out. We need to clear the scrub, and we need to make it appropriate for you and your considerations, but also for your house as well. Right, 100-degree heat. I'm off to show you what that looks like. So dirt is not dirt, it's select fill. It's not stuff we found on your lot. We actually have to truck it in and bring it to you. Just like this here. And after the dirt gets trucked in, well, it's not really dirt. It's select fill, and that's a mix between sand and clay. And you can see here the difference in coloration between the dirt that we actually find on your lot once we've cleared everything out, and the color of the house pad that's been created afterwards when we've removed all of that and built up to create a solid foundation for your foundation. And you can see here, they're almost ready to go with the form boards getting set, ready for what comes next, which is foundation. So this is a crushed concrete, and it's a temporary surface that allows vehicles, work vehicles, heavy trucks to access and leave your land with the least disruption possible. And what does disruption look like? Well, it could be mud in a very hot and rainy season like we're in now, but there doesn't seem to be much rain. But anyway, it prevents vehicles from getting caught, from getting stuck. It also stops people from leaving and tracking mud and dirt all over the development. And it keeps your job site clean. And that's really important. Cleanliness as you go through the build of a job site, wherever possible, is to be encouraged and actually to be expected. Also on this list we have an item here for culverts. This is very important, and this relates to your development. Everything I've talked about today changes and edits and all the rest of it depending on where your land is. But here in RGR, this is a culvert, and what it does is it allows drainage to flow through along the front of everybody's land to the point where it's collected and moved on. So this is what a culvert looks like at the start. And this is what a culvert looks like when it's finished. So when it comes to septic, really it's the aerobic system that we're talking about. You've probably seen these green plastic lids and containers that sit on the side of a lot of homes that are built on land. Probably also seen a little device like this that sits on the side of the house as well with a little red light on top. That makes up part of your aerobic system. And contrary to popular belief, it's not a big slump that just holds everything. It's your own processing system that eventually sprays out cleaned water in your own backyard. But what about the things we take for granted in a home? Things like water, but also things like electricity and gas. Well, we need to discuss propane as well, because if you don't have a gas supply, propane is an option. And if it's your only option and you do need some form of gas in the house, then a propane tank is going to be required. It's a very, very big part of additional what we call land development or lot development costs that sometimes gets left out from consideration. So here is a propane tank. This will be a 1,000-gallon tank. It's hidden nicely. We've put some bushes around it so nobody knows that it's here, but it's how this whole house gets its gas. That's its fireplace, all of the AC furnaces, any of the heating, any of the appliances, all of that comes from this one place, and you wouldn't even know it's here. So driveway is probably one of the most important considerations that people often overlook when building their own home. And because you're developing your lot, you're developing your own land. And so the length of the driveway, how far back the road is from the street, also how wide this space is, that all plays a part into the costs that you need to consider for your concrete. And of course, concrete's not super expensive, but there's a lot of it. And it's usually the multiplier that surprises people. No consideration or conversation about driveway can be complete without thinking about the unique requirements of your community. So here, for example, in Republic Grand Ranch, we have this wing wall that the community stipulates you have to have at the entryway. And it has to be a 20-foot wide expanse as well. But your community will have rules and regulations that you have to abide by as well. And they have to be considered when factoring in the costs. So this is an asphalt road tie-in, but it could be any kind of road tie-in. Where your driveway ends, we have to tie it in to the road. One of the final components of this is obviously landscaping. And you know, here at the model home, you can see that I put a bit more oomph into the landscaping here because I really wanted it to appeal and be authentic with the home. But obviously your personality needs to come through in the landscaping. And so it's an important item to consider whenever you're preparing costs. Well, there's some other considerations as well. We need to talk about fees. Obviously, with your land, and it is your land, there are going to be some things that you need to estimate or speak to people about or get some finite numbers on how much it's going to cost you. You need to consider your permit fees. That's the permits to the permitting district or office. In this case, where we are in Republic Grand Ranch, we're talking about the county, but also your HOA, your POA, whichever one it is. Your land may have a committee that will require you to get approval from them, and you will have to probably pay fees for that approval. Additionally, I want you to consider that once your house is drawn and designed, you'll need to then get some engineering done as well. And engineering is done by a licensed engineer. Again, look, there are engineers and engineers. There are lawyers and there are lawyers. There are real estate agents and real estate agents. There's good and bad in every profession, right? So one of the things is you need to have a really good engineer who's going to engineer your set of plans. And obviously, you know, we understand that. So in Royal Texan, what we do is we guide you through all of that. We cradle you through that process. We even have somebody in-house that will fill in all of the forms for you, get sign-offs. We have an engineer that we work with who we're very, very proud of that affiliation because he is world-class at what he does. But these are the sort of hidden costs through the build. They'll come up front, but then things like surveys, third-party inspections, you know, these are things that we need to have as we go through the build to be able to build your house. And these are all things you need to consider when building a house. So again, if you come and meet with us or just ask us, we'll give you one of these sheets, and this will show you exactly the costs that you'll need to consider when factoring into building a house. And that's tonight's news. I feel like I'm broadcasting to San Diego. So hopefully that helps give you an oversight into the considerations that you need to have when developing land to build your home. Now, this sheet is available here in our model home in Republic Grand Ranch, and really we've designed it with some budget numbers around for you to come in and get a good idea as to the kind of costs, what I call the transparent costs of building a home. People talk about hidden costs, but hidden costs is really when you buy from a builder and you buy the home and there you go. Transparent cost talks about what goes into a home, and it's built on your lot, so you should have control over how that needle moves. Do you want to have more land cleared? Do you want to create space for a landscaping feature? Would you like to retain some privacy at the front of your land? These are all things that make up this land development consideration, as well as all the beautiful landscaping and things you might want to do to your house at the end. Things you just need to consider when building a house that, frankly, when you're buying in a master plan community, you really don't get these opportunities. So the difference between building on your land and not, the difference between having a custom home versus not, is pretty seismic in terms of the impact that you're able to make to what you see when you pull in the driveway. On the back of this, we have a project cost, and this kind of helps you calculate the budget, and you're able to plug in the numbers from base plans, structural additions, land development allowances, and figure fairly easily and pretty accurately what a good working budget is for your home. It sounds complicated, it's really not. Come down to the model home here in Republic Grand Ranch, meet with our team, grab one of these, and let's talk about what will go into building your land. We'll send someone out, they'll laser sight it, they'll do some estimates for you, and you'll have a really good understanding as to the abilities that you have to customize not just your home, but your land as well. You've waited this long to get the property and the home of your dreams. Let's make sure we get everything right. Anyway, I'm off to have a glass of water now because I'm very hot. Again, my name's Mark from Texan Homes, and I'm looking forward to meeting with you and discussing your project.